Okay, so we're looking at this tutorial that I'm putting together for some students who are having a little bit of issues with the Unit 8 Assignment 1. And so I basically am just going to walk you through all the steps you need to sort of troubleshoot this spreadsheet and figure out some things by looking at some of the data and some of the formulas and some of the functions. So first thing you need to do is download Unit 8 Assignment 1 spreadsheet and click here. This might look a little bit different if you're on a Mac or if you're using a different web browser. I'm using Excel. Some of you may be using OpenOffice Calc. That's also fine. Most of it's going to be very similar. So if you have any questions, try to get a hold of me. If for some reason it's a little bit different on your machine, we can try to figure that out as well. Okay, so first thing we need to do then is open up the requirements here. And you can see it's got a whole list of things that we need to do to sort of correct the data within this spreadsheet. And it looks like there's a whole lot going on. Please don't be intimidated by it. It's not terribly difficult. There's just like a lot of information here that we got to sort of dissect. So basically what we're going to do is let's go through the analysis right here. You're going to leave A, B, C, D columns alone, and then you're going to mess with the formulas within G, H, K, and L. But within D, there's two things we need to do. First off, we're going to go to D167, and we're going to use the sum function to add up the total amount of payouts. So we're looking at all this mobster crime that's taken place, and we're going to go down to the bottom. And you can see there's a total listed here. So we're going to click on that cell. I'm going to push the equals key on my keyboard, and I'm going to start typing the word sum, S-U-M. I don't want sum if. I'm going to just click on sum. You can see it creates the parentheses here. And then I'm going to click and select a range. So I'm going to click on this bottommost cell here, and I'm going to drag all the way up, and I'm just selecting all of the money that was generated by these crimes in the range up to the top there, and I'm going to hit enter or return. So you can see it added up the total of the money there, so that's good. Then the second piece we need to do is we need to calculate the total number of crimes that were committed. That's in cell D168, and here it says to use the COUNTIF function. Here the COUNTIF function isn't really applicable, so I'm not quite sure where they're asking for that. So we're going to just use just the count function. So I'm going to go back here, click on D168, hit the equals key, and I'm going to start typing the word count, and I'm going to click just regular count, not COUNTIF. Then I'm going to click at the bottom here and again select the range, just like we did for the sum. Go to the top, hit enter, and you can see there were 163 crimes committed. It added it up for us, and you can see it sort of makes sense because we're at cell 165 at the bottom, and if we look at the top, it starts on cell 3. So basically that's 163 in that range. Okay, now what we need to do is it's asking us to analyze and fix any formulas that are wrong. The cells highlighted yellow are your checker cells. If they go to 0, then you have corrected the errors. So right now, here and here, here and here, all of those should 0 out once we correct the formulas and the functions. So there's a relative and an absolute formula issue that we're having here. So relative and absolute reference is the issue. So if we start off, it says go to check G3 to G26. And let's see, this is G5. Okay, so we start at G3 and look down to G26. And when it's adding up the total number of crimes, it's missing out on 14 of them. There's a difference of 14, right? So we want this number to 0 out, and we want the total number of crimes here to equal 163, because we know that's the answer. So if we look at our formula in here, you can see this is counting if Anastasia Albert has committed 7 crimes, and it's looking through this entire range from B3 to B165, and it's looking for F3, which is Anastasia Albert. It's looking for how many times this guy's name appears between here, B3 and B165. Okay, so that's great. Then if you look at the formula below it, it's looking for Anastasio Anthony between B4 and B166. And so it's moved down the range from here to 166, which is a little bit too low. And then the following one, if we look at Biondo Joseph, it goes from B5 to B167. So you can see it's just going lower and lower till some of these, when we get down here, it's looking from B19 all the way down to what did it say? B19 to B181. So it's moving the range down progressively. So instead of starting at the top here and looking for their names, it's starting lower and lower as each one of them moves down in the spreadsheet per row. So what we need to do is we need to make an absolute reference so that it's looking for everything from B3 to B165 the entire time, and it's not shifting down. And the way we do that is we're going to go in here, and it's calculating number of crimes in that range, and it's looking for that guy, F3, and we're going to just add a $ before B and before 3, so that it's going to say always start here for this formula. Don't start like in the same row as my name, right? Okay, then I'm going to add $. I accidentally clicked something. I just hit undo, so don't worry about that. I'm going to add a $sign here. I'm going to add a $sign here, so it stays between absolutely here and absolutely here the entire time. But we don't want $signs by this F3 because that's the name, and we do want, each time this formula is calculated, we do want it to move down one name and look for the next guy. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter. It's going to stay at 7. Right, and then I'm going to click and drag this down. Like if we look at here, you can see all these down here. There's no $signs. If I go back up here and click and drag down, it's going to update that formula for all of them. And now when I click around here, you can see it's added the $signs in here, and the total number of crimes is 163. So it is zeroed that all out. Okay, so that's good. Then we need to do the exact same thing for the payout. So we want the total number of money to be the same here and here, and this should be 0. So I'm going to go up to here, and I want to add the $signs in before each of these. But I don't want to add it to F3 because remember, we're still looking for the total number of money for that guy. I'm going to add in $signs here and here, and here and here. Okay, hit enter, go and select this again, and then I grab this little guy here and drag it down. And we've hit 0 here, and the total of the money is adding up correctly because we're absolutely referencing this whole range here. We're not shifting down each time it shifts down over here in the spreadsheet. Okay, now we're going to do the exact same thing over here. It's asking us, it says the other hand is K3 to K7 and L3 to L7. So if we go to K3, and look at this, we want to have an absolute reference. Add those $signs. Don't change J3. Remember, we're sticking with bootlegging. Click on it. Drag the range down. Note that this just zeroed out. Okay. Go back up to this guy. We want this to zero out as well. For the payouts, we're going to add that absolute reference in there for those ranges. Skip J3. Again, we want to stick with the same crime per row. And hit enter. And we're going to drag it down here. Okay, so this is zeroed out. The totals have totally added up, so everything's great. Now, when we want to figure out which mobster made the most money, we need to do a sorting. So this is the payout, right? And we want to sort to see what was the highest payout, which mobster had the greatest payout. So we're going to switch over to our data tab here. We're going to click on sort, and we're going to go descending, which will go from greatest to lowest. And it calculated, and you can see it's brought the largest dollar amounts going from almost $6 million all the way down to a little over $1 million. And it's all in order from greatest to least. And Carmine Tramunti is our guy. Okay. Now, which crime had the most number of crimes? Here we've got analysis by crime. Exact same thing. We're going to click on this here. We're going to do sort, descending, and there it is. It brought our greatest number to the top, the lowest number to the bottom. Extortion was the greatest number of crime. Let me say, the most frequently committed crime was extortion. And so that is basically where we're at. And then if you look at the rubric here, you'll see that we've got a correct answer for 167, 168 down here. Those were added up correctly. These two guys right here, right? And then we've got all of these, everything got zeroed out. We did good with that, right? 0, 0, 0, 0. We figured out which mobster made the most money and which crime was committed the most frequently. So we will have earned 20 out of 20 points. So I've basically walked you through exactly what you need to do for this assignment. And what I need you to do is just go through. You can follow along with the video. Hopefully you have been doing that. If not, you can go back and just use the downloaded spreadsheet with the errors, work in all the corrections. So you zero out all the blocks where it needs the zeros, and then answer the two questions about which mobster made the most money, which crime was most frequently committed, and then you are in good shape. Just go ahead and submit that spreadsheet that you have solved as your project, and we'll get you in for a grade. Hope this helps. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to email me. Thanks for watching.